your words of advice to financial investors now as they restart their financial journey?
Replenish it, and I think, the immediate steps are actually non-financial. If your income stream got disrupted, go and restore it, whatever it takes, because your savings and investment is on a standstill till your income is restored. A lot of people would have also, there are two other scenarios. I come across a lot of people who came on the brink of that disruption. So maybe, this is actually a time where people should work towards. It is not a crisis right now. So they should work towards, broadening their skill or whatever, so that, they have a marketable skill. And the world has changed. The work environment has changed. So how will you still be relevant? That is something which people should worry about. The other is that, get back to basics. Foundations matter. All your finest of ideas will actually go waste, even if you are confident of the great opportunity which market was presenting. You will not be able to think in the right. You will not be in the right frame of mind to capitalize on that if you don't have your foundations in place, which is having enough for, you don't have to worry about the tomorrow. And time is on your side. So work towards that. I think these are things which I would suggest.
All right. And of
And
course, the
some of the
usual
things.
questions.
Sorry, I would just like to add, at the cost of sounding like a stuck record, that when I'm referring to worry about the basics, which is equity for the long run, fixed income for the short run or immediate term, have an allocation to fixed income even in your long term portfolio for rebalancing. Then diversify. Don't get very tactical. And if you have this thought process in place, I think even missing out on some of the tactical things won't matter.
I think that's also another issue that folks approach it sometimes tactically. They're tempted, right? Because the usual question, let's say between SIP and lump sum, when they see markets correct substantially, they wonder, should I do SIP while, and suddenly I should put in also a lump sum amount when the markets correct like this. Any words of advice you would have to investors when they face such questions as to what to do in the case of a significant market correction?
Yeah, I think they should just they should actually read newspapers, they should watch TV, they should listen to it, but not act. Because most of the time we are prompted by those things, by suggestion, advice, or inputs that may not be relevant. Because you have to guess the future. That is a broad feeling. But most important guesses about future is about yourself. That is the only thing which you can do with precision. Rest of the things, what last 2-3 years have demonstrated, that you can't get it right. Nobody knows. So be very have the humility, be sure of that. And if you have those basic variables in place, nothing else matters.
All right, have your basics in place. And when we speak of basics, I think financial literacy also needs to be in focus. And since we're speaking on financial literacy, I'll bring in Harit to explain that viewpoint. The financial inclusivity movement, Harit, that has gained momentum in the pandemic with a record number of people trying their hands at equity investments. However, with what financial literacy levels being abysmal, there's still ample room for investors to be misled and manipulated. So in your opinion, how can players in the financial services sector bridge that gap in terms of financial literacy so that people can take sensible financial decisions, knowing fully well what it entails and how it ties back to their financial goals in terms of impact?
Yeah, Gautam. In fact, that's a topic very close to my heart. So thanks for bringing it in. Like you rightly said, education is very important, because what happens is you see the kind of environment that is there. You read what's happening in the papers. You hear your friends, relatives talk, and you invest without really understanding what are you getting into. And then if you hit a bear market and you lose your money, typically people tend to withdraw and then not trust that instrument ever again. So education is critical. It's also very critical because if you really want to everybody's got limited source of income. Now if you want to increase your wealth to fulfill all your goals, you definitely need to invest. So that literacy part is very critical. I think there are three key areas I would like to touch upon. The first two would be in terms of the population that we are addressing. There's one part which is being totally unaware of the complete gamut of investment products available. So there you need to literally start educating from the basics ground up. What are the various instruments? What are the categories, risk, so and so forth. The other set of population which I feel also needs to have a focus on this education is people who have been investing but who've got partial knowledge. Just to give you an example, I've seen a lot of people equate debt with an FD. So in their mindset, if you are investing in a debt fund, it's as safe as investing in a bank FD, right? So in terms of what are the risks associated with debt products, what kind of cycles can debt go through, they're not aware of. They'll just pick up the latest newspaper, see which fund gave the best returns in the last 3 years and blindly invest, not realizing that if it's a duration product and you are at the end of one cycle, the other cycle is actually going to take you negative or flat. So that education part is critical. Now, if I was to go back, let's say 10 or 20 years ago, a huge challenge was infrastructure, logistics. If you are trying to impart education, how do you reach out to the masses? Those days we used to do broadly classroom based trainings. Now there's a limit to how many people you can get into a classroom and how many people can you reach in the physical world. A great thing that has happened over the past few years is, one, we've got good internet connectivity and reach across the whole country today. Two, people are more comfortable being willing to take the inputs from an online medium. So I think that is something we really need to look at capitalizing. Initiatives like the one we are having today, where through the digital medium we can really want to kind of reach out to a huge set of people. This coupled with good quality content, if the players in the industry can all come together and we can create content which is easy to understand, devoid of jargon, gets the basics through very simply, and use the art of storytelling, because India is a land of stories. People understand concepts through stories very well. So if we kind of put all of that together into our digital content and then add it up with uh, initiatives like this, where there's also a person, a face to talk to, I think that can combined be a very, very powerful tool of taking financial literacy to the masses. The other thing I would very quickly want to touch is that, when we talk of financial literacy, we mostly focus on adults. Our focus is basically on investors, so to say. I think a key focus should also be on children. You know, uh, Typically, if you see, especially when we were growing up, when money matters were being discussed, kids used to be, shooed away. It's just for parents to talk. I think that mindset needs to change. We, as it is, teach compound interest in school. So if you're teaching compound interest, why not teach the power of compounding as well? If we bring that financial literacy right from, when kids are in school, the basics foundations would be built much earlier, and that then also gives you a good framework to look at money in the right perspective. And I think that is going to be a huge outcome for the whole country per se.
An investor education and awareness initiative of Aditya Birla Sun Life Mutual Fund. Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.